Have you ever wondered why your gut acts up at the worst possible moment, before a meeting, on holiday, or when life feels overwhelming? You might just think it's digestion, but often it's your mind pulling the strings. Let's break down the gut-brain loop, why stress makes symptoms worse, and what you can do to calm it. And I'll share one simple practice that you can start today to calm down your gut. I see this all the time with my clients, and I've experienced it myself. People who have real gut discomfort and symptoms and issues that are influenced by what's going on in their life, and particularly stress. Today, I'm going to show you why stress makes your gut worse and one key way you can interrupt that loop. Many of you probably already know a little bit about the gut-brain axis. This is the two-way communication where the gut sends signals to the brain and the brain sends signals back to the gut, with the vagus nerve being considered a superhighway in this communication. This is why the gut is often called the second brain. Something that's important to know about people who experience irritable bowel syndrome is that many of them have what is known as gut hypersensitivity. This means that the nerves in the gut are more sensitive than usual, and even normal digestive activities can feel uncomfortable and even painful. It's actually a real measurable change in how the gut and brain communicate in people with IBS. But here's the key. While the gut is sending strong signals, the brain can actually amplify them further if it thinks that you're in danger. Many of you will also know that stress is a very key factor in IBS symptoms. This is because stress in our body and brain leads to fight and flight mode, and digestion slows or speeds up. Of course, if we were in a real fight or flight situation like running from a saber-toothed tiger, we wouldn't need to waste our energy on digesting our food. And even though we logically know we aren't in danger, our primitive brain isn't so aware and will often halt digestion to deal with what is perceived as danger. However, in the real world, that danger or the perceived danger might be something like going to the doctor and having some tests and being anxious while we wait for the results. The brain perceives the danger and amplifies the gut sensations in response. We've probably all experienced the impact the gut can have on our stress. Think butterflies before an exam or a first date. So we understand that our gut and brain are connected, and that what's happening in our brain can affect our body. But in people with IBS, it is more ongoing and often more connected to things like fear, worries, and overwhelm. Research shows that 30 to 60% of people with IBS have visceral hypersensitivity, which means the nerves in the gut are more sensitive than usual, as it lowers the brain's pain threshold, so even mild sensations can feel painful. Over time, the repeated stress can actually train the nervous system to become more sensitive, reinforcing the gut-brain loop. And here's something really important to know. Gut pain in IBS and related conditions often fall into what's called neuroplastic pain, also sometimes described as TMS or mind-body syndrome. What that means is the symptoms are real, but they are being generated or amplified by changes in the nervous system and the way it's processing signals from the brain, rather than it being a structural issue with the gut itself. When the gut is hypersensitive, the nerves are more alert and sensitive, and the brain interprets those signals as danger. Over time, the brain can actually learn this pain response almost like a habit. The good news is that when pain is neuroplastic or learned and wired in by the nervous system, it's also rewirable, because the brain is very good at learning, it's also very good at unlearning. And by calming stress, practicing safety signals, and teaching the brain to reinterpret gut sensations as safe, the loop begins to quieten down. And this is why strategies like breathing, reframing, and gentle body practices can make such a difference. So I just want to briefly explain the gut-brain loop in action. So it might look like you're feeling stressed about something and you start to notice some discomfort in your tummy. Or you wake up in the morning and you've got an important day ahead, something really important that you've got to do, and you scan your body for issues with the thought that you can't feel bad today, I can't have a flare-up, today's too important. But even a small sensation in your gut, which might just be normal digestion, let alone when you actually have feelings of bloating or urgency. And then the vicious cycle begins, starting with the sensation or the symptom, followed by fear and hypervigilance about these feelings in our body, which leads to increased stress and more symptoms. And each time this happens, our symptoms and beliefs are reinforced. But the good news is that this pain-fear loop can absolutely be interrupted, as the brain can learn new ways of doing things. So today I'm going to take you through one of my favorite practical strategies that I use almost daily to help interrupt the thought loops that I can get in my mind on various things. But today we're going to talk about it if you're using it in relation to digestive issues. So this strategy was taught to me by a wonderful teacher on the platform Insight Timer called Ruben Lowe. And in one of his courses, he taught about the noticing switch. So it's a strategy based on acceptance and commitment therapy. And it's a metaphor that you can use again and again when you find yourself facing difficult thoughts. So the strategy acknowledges that the brain gets used to doing things a certain way almost automatically. And it easily gets caught up in negative or worrying thoughts almost out of habit. So it might look like this. You wake up in the morning and your first thought is something like, I hope I don't have a flare up today. Or you catch yourself checking your body, checking how your tummy feels. And if we were practicing the noticing switch exercise, this is when we would turn on the noticing switch. So you have the thought or you catch yourself checking for symptoms in your body and you turn on the noticing switch. And you just pause for yourself and you say, I'm noticing, and you might name the thought, I'm noticing, I'm scanning or checking my body. That little phrase can help you step back and see what your brain is doing instead of automatically getting pulled into the thoughts and the concern. Once you've noticed, you gently bring yourself back to the present moment. Might be through placing your hand on your belly or noticing your feet on the ground and taking a slow breath. And then you may say to yourself something like, this is just my brain trying to protect me. I'm not in danger, or I am safe. So that's it. Notice, presence, send safety. And the more often you practice this, the easier it gets. By doing this exercise, you're teaching your brain that gut sensations are not a threat and you're breaking that loop little by little. So let's just take a moment, just 20 to 30 seconds, to practice that together. So think of a moment when you caught yourself today checking your gut and maybe you had a thought like, I hope I don't have a flare today, or I have so much to do today, I can't feel like this. Now see yourself in your mind, turn on the noticing switch, click, and say to yourself, I'm noticing the thought that I can't have this feeling today, or I'm noticing the thought that today is too important. Place your hand on your belly, notice your feet on the floor, and take one slow breath in and one slow breath out. Just feeling that rise and fall of your belly. And as you breathe, add the phrase, this is just my brain trying to protect me. I am safe. Or it might just be as simple as in-breath and on the out-breath, I am safe. So that's it. Notice, turn the noticing switch on. Presence, notice your feet, notice your hands, send safety signals. A simple switch that you can practice anytime. And the more often you practice, the easier it gets. And remembering that you're teaching your brain every time you do it, you're teaching your brain, you're reinforcing the safety signals rather than reinforcing the danger signals. So just remembering, it's very likely that many of your digestive symptoms and sensations are nothing to worry about, not an indication that your body is broken. I invite you to consider how you might bring curiosity to these symptoms and sensations rather than fear. If what you heard in today's video resonated with you, please subscribe for more mind-body tools.